Hello, welcome. Hello and welcome. As you get onboarded, as we wait for a few more people to join us, one small request to make, well, maybe a couple actually. Let's start with, please turn on your cameras so we can see you, if that's okay, if you're not too embarrassed about whatever the background you might be. Second one would be, if you just mouse over your face for a moment and click the three dots, then you can hit rename and you can put your name and then the hotel or wherever you're from, so that when we're chatting a bit later, it'll be possible to see who you are and for others to find other hoteliers like them. So as I say, you just scroll over your face, three little dots in a blue box should pick up, and then you click that to hit rename. So you can see who everyone is. And we'll be going in the next couple of minutes. Hello and welcome everyone. While we're waiting for everyone. Hello. We're going for videos on, microphones off, please. At least at the start, although if you'd like to have a little chat or you've got any key questions you want to make sure we cover off, then feel free to interrupt me or John at any time. Oh goodness, I didn't expect this music next. Here we go. Gemma, can you just send me the Notion link? Can't hear you. Okay. Everyone else hears me, so more. Yeah. Getting a few direct questions. So there is a chat function if you've not been on Zoom before, although I suspect here we are, mid 2021, most people have. In the chat, please feel free to ask any questions. If you've got any problems with sound or video or anything. And we will be starting shortly. So while we just wait for the last few people, if you could scroll over your face, there's a little blue square comes up with three white dots. If you click on that, then you can rename yourself, and so you can do sort of name and hotel you're from or where you're from, so that as questions come up or whatever else, people know who they're speaking to. But hello and welcome. Great, lots of people still joining. Thinking, yeah, it's like when you're standing next to popcorn and waiting for it to slow down. Only one new one every minute or whatever it is. Okay. So my notes, so I remember the key things I have to say.
Yeah, hello.
Oh, sorry.
Hello, this is Lucas here.
Hi, Lucas.
Hi, Lucas.
Hi.
Nice to see you. Where are you calling in from?
I'm calling from a small town in the Czech Republic right now.
Right.
Nice to see you.
Yeah. Hi, Daria.
How's Czech Republic doing on reopening and lockdowns and things?
Well, it's so because we operate health spa hotels, so we have a few hotels opened, but it's like 2 hotels out of 7 at the moment.
Right.
But we also have hotels in Slovakia, Hungary and Romania and the UK as well. So
cool. Good. Well, hopefully unlocks are coming fast, thick and fast. I'm speaking from America, so forgive me if I say good morning to anyone, but I'll try and remember the time zone where you are. I think it's probably a minute past. We might kick off. We will be recording this, so if you come in a bit, well, I guess you won't hear this if you come in late, unless you're watching the recording. So that's a message to nobody. But welcome and hello. We have a fair bit on to get through today, but I'll just do a few housekeeping questions. So the first one is, yes, there will be slides. There'll be a recording and slides all shared with you. So feel free to screenshot if that's your thing, but if not, don't worry, we will send them to you and you'll get slides. Secondly, like this is a Triptease event, we are always dead keen on getting hoteliers to share and learn from one another. And so that is something we're absolutely going to be doing. So there will be towards the end a little bit of interaction and an opportunity to meet some other hoteliers, no doubt who are going through the same kind of challenges that you are, because we know how much people value that, and also looking and auditing each other's Metasearch just a bit, because it helps to get a fresh pair of eyes. So that will be coming later. We're going to start with some of the basics, and then towards the end, getting some more interesting changes, sophisticated things like property promotion ads that are relatively new, TripAdvisor Plus, that people have some questions about. That's coming up. Please, unless you're speaking or unless you want to interrupt me, which you're very welcome to do at any time, otherwise remain muted. If possible, if you click on your face on the 3 dots, you can rename yourself and put your name and hotel so that we know who's who. And that is it. If you've got any issues at any time, you can either jump straight into the Zoom chat, which is along the bottom, or you can email, if everything else fails, info@triptease.com. But that stuff aside, let's jump straight in. Thanks very much for joining us. Hopefully this will be some useful thoughts and experience on what we're seeing in Meta, because we think this is a key channel for delivering direct bookings in the comeback. I'm Charlie Osmond, the Chief Tease at TripTease. As I said, I'm being based in New York this year, awaiting unlocks and things. And Jonathan, who is in London, is our senior product manager for Metasearch, and so he's going to be going through some of the details and should be able to answer all sorts of interesting questions, no doubt, that you guys will have. So Jonathan, give us a wave.
Hi, everyone.
Okay, great. And so let's jump in. So those are things I think I've already said. Yes, mute, volume, all that stuff. So one of the things we really want to go through today a bit is what's the right approach for Metasearch. And a lot of hotels have tried it in the past, didn't find it drove many bookings, and there may be a number of reasons for that. A lot of hotels are doing it today, but not getting the volume they want, or perhaps you're just thinking about doing it and you're seeing, for example, the new Google free links, or Google CPA, and you're thinking, okay, is this the right way for me to bring our hotel onto Meta? I mean, it is certainly, we believe, like a really good time to do that, and we want to discuss a little bit about different ways people are doing it and different value adds. So next, Jonathan. So first of all, what is Meta? Well, it is about bringing price transparency and price comparison to multiple different places on the web. So today, the most prominent place is within Google when someone searches for your hotel name. Then there is a price auction, a price comparison, and that's kind of where it's begun. And what we're expecting, what we know, we're going to be seeing a lot more from Google and other players in the next following months and years, is that price comparison being taken to multiple different places across like Google's ecosystem and other places. So we saw it start in Google search, then we've seen it turn up in maps, and you can expect that price comparison is going to be living in multiple other places too. Because for many guests, right, price is key, and certainly when you're making that decision of, well, I know the hotel I want, but which channel will I book on, then price is absolutely the single most important factor. And so that's why Google loves it and wants to show it. Jonathan, and why does Meta matter? I mean, here's a nice bit of research from Mirai in Spain. It's showing the growth they've seen for their hotels on their booking engine of Meta versus Google Ads. This isn't reflected everywhere. It's not the same for all hotels, not the same for all parts of the world, but certainly one thing is common. The number of bookings that you can get from Metasearch has grown massively in the last few years and will continue to grow, right? This is going to be the default way Google, particularly, wants to get guests to click from the search engine off to other websites, right? They want to go through this price-led experience, because they know where they're going to make the most money and also it's what they want. So Meta has been growing fast and it's going to continue to. In fact, in the last year, just from a TripTease point of view, we've, during the pandemic, right, during these pretty tough times for hotels, we've seen more than double the number of hotels adding Meta than we had pre-pandemic. So we've seen a real increase in it. And part of that is because it's now possible to take part in Meta on a no risk, no fee basis. So you can get that direct booking, but pay for it more like you would pay for an OTA. And I think that's one of the other reasons, as well as just that increase in volume. What we've been seeing, and here you can see there's a base at January 2020 in this chart, is the volume of Meta bookings that were happening on hotel websites that we work with pre-COVID. And now we are seeing a higher volume of Meta than even pre-COVID levels. And that's total volume, right? So it's contributing more revenue to direct than ever before, and seems to be increasing. And we're seeing also, like, across, I know everyone's always interested in different markets. So broadly, first of all, on a macro basis, we've seen in North America where the travel restrictions haven't been the same between states that, for example, we have between countries in Europe. We've seen the bounce back really strong from Meta in North America. So you can see just in the last couple of months, revenue per hotel has skyrocketed in the US, and we have our fingers crossed that the same kind of traction will follow across Europe shortly. I think we have a few country breakdowns. And you can see, yeah, Iceland definitely is already reopening for business and seeing grand growth. And we expect to see across other countries. And there's some really great resources online with data around hotel, comebacks. I'm sure you found your own on what's happening in your market. TripTease has some data if you need it. SiteMinder have got a great resource as well. They'll recommend because they see a large volume of bookings. Okay, and then in Meta, of course, just as it was before the pandemic, so it is now that Google is the #1 player. Significantly here, you can see Google in purple taking the lion's share of the bookings. And the biggest change recently that kind of impacts hotels from Google has been the inclusion of, sorry, Jonathan, could you slide, please? Of free clicks, free links in Meta from a Google search. So in a sense, this is kind of working backwards from what Google did in paid search, where they started with lots of free links and then added paid. In Meta, Google has started with the paid and now they've added free. And the reason for this is really that for 5 or 6 years, Google have tried very hard to get as many hotels as possible to be connecting to Meta and putting their prices onto Google. Google has always been about bringing the world's information and making it available to everyone, and it just wasn't happening in hotels. They just haven't been able to get enough hotels to constantly and always have their prices connected to Meta. And that's because of the connectivity challenges, the costs to hotels to doing it, and often the returns weren't there for certain hotels or certain sizes of property. So what Google has said is, well, let's give away a certain amount of free clicks, free links, because that way it'll encourage everyone in 2021 to get connected. It'll make booking engines buck up their game and connect to the new Google API. The prices will be there. And when Google sees the prices and has the prices available running into its system, of course, then it's going to try and entice you to bid on a higher listing. So this is kind of great and it's exciting. We have this new organic traffic. Some hotels are like, well, should I do it? Isn't Google's end game to then make me pay for it? The answer is probably yes. That is what Google will likely do when they get everyone connected. They'll probably reduce the volume of clicks that go organic, but I think that's 2 or 3 years away. And for 2 or 3 years, getting free clicks isn't a bad thing. So Jonathan, first of all, I should say, is this all free, all good? What kind of results are we seeing from the organic so far?
Yes, we've seen, we had a look at our portfolio actually, and how many clicks are coming from the free links versus how many are coming from the paid meta links. And this is quite interesting. And actually the picture is quite different region to region. So in North America, we see quite a high proportion of free link clicks. In Europe and in APAC, that's quite it's a lower number. So fewer people or fewer clicks are coming from the free links. Paid meta is still the vast lion's share of what's happening. This kind of makes sense actually. If you look at Metasearch in North America and compare it to what you see when you're in Europe, Google do actually display things slightly differently. Here in Europe, those free booking links are buried quite deep behind the View More button in Metasearch. If you're on a mobile device in North America, you'll actually see those straight away on the kind of main Google search engine results page, which got us kind of digging then deeper into this data. When we started to look at what that breakdown was between mobile links or people clicking from mobile devices and people clicking on desktop. And we saw here quite a big swing towards mobile on the free links compared to the paid links. Now, this is interesting because we know that conversion rates on mobile devices are lower than they are on desktop. In fact, they're quite a lot lower, particularly in North America. So what we think is happening here is Google are, although they're giving away a lot of clicks, they're giving away the mobile clicks which tend to have lower prices in the auction, so it's less of a giveaway from Google's point of view, and also are less likely to convert. And it looks like they're giving more of them away in North America, where actually mobile conversion rates are lowest, compared to in Europe and Asia, where the conversion rates are slightly higher. So it's definitely a generous giveaway. It's perhaps not as immediately generous as it looks.
But still a good chunk. And those are free clicks and free bookings, hopefully.
Yeah, absolutely. You definitely want to. It might not be a free lunch, but certainly a free snack. So it's definitely worth having.
A free snack. And if we're if as I hope most of you will have done, searched for this new Google experience and tried to see, am I listed in that free section on Google? What are the, if you're not, so if I'm a hotelier, I run the search and I don't find myself listed, or maybe I'm listed low down on that free section, what are the key things that determine ranking in this new area in Google?
So pretty much like Google organic web results, they've been pretty clear on what the things are that help you rank high in that list. So from Google, there are three things really you need to think about. The first one is your price accurate? So is the price that is appearing in Metasearch actually the price that a guest will see when they click on that link and land on your booking engine? And that's kind of how Google really kind of think about quality, price feed quality. Best way to check that is to make sure your meta provider, this is something your meta provider is doing and is keeping an eye on, and is making sure that they have the most accurate prices that they can get. And secondly, check it, have a look, and we'll do this later actually. When we kind of look, when we break out, we can go and check this and have a look at a few different dates. The second thing that really matters is landing page quality. And by this, we know that Google crawl the web on a mobile device. They rank in organic search results based on how good your page is, how good the mobile experience is. And it's exactly the same with hotels. Does your booking engine work on a mobile device? Does it load quickly? Does it load slowly? Does it actually work? Can you pick a check-in date? Can you pick a checkout date? So that kind of quality of that page, that's another way that Google are ranking it. And the higher the quality of your pages, the better you're going to do. And then the third thing that really matters is your price. This isn't necessarily used by Google to rank it, but it's the only thing you have got in free meta to really compete and distinguish yourself on. If you got a good direct price, you are going to stand out in that list of operators. So make sure you're keeping a solid eye on parity, use the tools that you've got, TripTease or otherwise, to do that.
Got it. So it's price accuracy, price compared to other players, and the experience on the mobile booking engine when you click through from Meta onto mobile. And actually, I mean, that is something that was one of the things Google finally changed for good across the whole web last year, that they'd been building up to for a few years, is, as you say, Google scores your desktop SEO ranking based on your mobile performance. Everything on Google is based now on any website's mobile performance, and that will change what your someone's desktop SEO experiences. So if I search for a hotel on my desktop, Google is ranking by using an algorithm that looks at the speed and the quality of your mobile website and experience. So this is just yet another thing along that line. And maybe that's one of the reasons Google is sending so many mobile clicks, is because they know ultimately mobile is the future. And that's actually something else as a side note, we've seen dramatically change over the last year, is the proportion of bookings via mobile devices has tripled as a total share of direct across all the hotels. Now, part of that is because people are booking much more last minute, so they're more prepared and more likely to be mobile bookers. But I think everyone's kind of just raised their game and their expectations of what they get from mobile. So if as a hotel, if you do find that you're not ranking highly on that organic, then those three things are very much things that TripTease can help with. So reach out to us. There are things we can do. In fact, we launched a product specifically to make that mobile engine booking experience, click from Metasearch, super quick, efficient to get the ranking up. And what else can go, in a sense, wrong? What else should you be looking out for with this new free clicks, Jonathan?
So one thing to check is you may never have been in Meta, and you might have found yourself suddenly added into Meta because perhaps a lot of booking engines have turned people on automatically. This is a good thing, but just check what's happened, check the experience, make sure it's as good as you can get. The one to watch out for, and we've seen this a few times, is where suddenly you find yourself, if you're already a participant in Metasearch, you might suddenly find yourself with two providers, and that can sometimes lead to some slightly unusual experiences and sort of not great user experience in Metasearch. So This is an example that we saw a week or so ago where a hotel is now listed twice, once in paid and once in free, but with a different price in each. So this time another provider has come in with a second price. That price is actually higher. The price is for a start incorrect, and the price is actually higher than the real direct price. And they ended up in here twice. And this confuses people. It reduces people's trust in Metasearch. Which of these is the real direct link? Maybe I'll just use hotels.com. It erodes that trust. There's no logo on that second link. And actually, if you look at that second link, that's an easy booking on Google link. So you're probably paying a commission if someone books by clicking that link. Whereas if you're paying for a cost per click auction, you might be paying a few cents if someone clicks on that top link. So it's worth having a look, have a check, try a few different dates. If you find you've got two providers, pick the provider that you are using. If you're in paid Meta, you probably want your paid Meta provider doing free and paid. So it's just worth checking you haven't accidentally picked up a second Meta provider.
Great. Otherwise, while we're on this slide, I just say this is a great place to be. If you've got a significantly cheaper price that you're happy or prepared or able to share, then it doesn't matter that you're ranked sort of number 2 below hotels.com. That's probably where you want to be. People are going to click that. That's good.
Yeah, this is looking at a pretty successful meta strategy here. Let your price stand out. You don't need to buy in the most expensive slot if you've got a great direct price. So I guess we can go on and talk a little bit about like what is the secret to Metasearch success? And we can talk through a couple of different approaches, and they're going to drill into a few different examples and some kind of tips and tricks as we go. And first of all, like there are lots of different ways. You've got lots of different choices as a hotel of how you get into Metasearch. And apologies, everyone, I've got a slightly extended cooking analogy that I'm going to run with here. Choosing a meta provider, it's a bit like choosing how you're going to have your dinner tonight. You can, if you want, go and have an instant meal. You can get the mac and cheese out. It's pretty easy. You're not going to need to do a lot. It's going to be relatively cheap. The taste will be consistent. You'll get those calories, but it's probably not delicious. And in my mind, this is a little bit like picking the auto bidding algorithm on Google. You're going to get results, but really you're going to get results for Google and not necessarily great results for you. Or you can cook your own dinner. You can have a homemade meal. You can find a good recipe, buy the ingredients, and make sure you've got the kitchen tools that you need. It might be quite expensive. Spend some time cooking. You're going to have to clean up. You might make a bit of a mess, but you're probably going to have some fun. But you need to have good ingredients, and you need to have done really well. Your skills as a chef really count as to how great that end meal is. It might be great, but it might not. It's going to take time and effort. And that, in my mind, is a bit like running your own Metasearch bidding in-house. Or finally, you can go to a restaurant. There's a professional chef there. You're going to arrive, get a great meal. You don't need to do the washing up. And behind the scenes in that restaurant, there are fresh ingredients, there are sharp knives, there are fancy ovens. And that's a bit like using a specialist Metasearch partner like Triptease. Now, there's advantages and disadvantages and benefits to all of these different approaches, and you need to find the one that's going to work for you in your hotel. And over the next couple of slides, I'll kind of drill into a few different things that apply in all of these situations. So Metasearch, we kind of, like Charlie at the beginning, you were talking about how it's a very, very simple proposition. It's just a price-led list, and that's what an end user sees, a guest sees. But actually underneath, there are all of those things going on that we've been talking a bit about today. So for both free and paid Metasearch, there's getting your core data in, those rates, those prices, the inventory. There's making sure that you're kind of hitting Google's quality thresholds, and that means accurate prices, and also that great booking engine experience, making sure that people can get through and book, particularly on mobile. And then you've got the competitiveness, like your pricing parity. Have you got a good price? Are people going to actually click on this? Is your offering in Meta the best that you can make it? Then on top of that, for paid Metasearch, you get the auction and the bidding dynamics. So appearing in the paid Metasearch option at the top, and the order in which people appear is a live auction. So you need to bid to get in there, and the more you bid, the higher up that list you'll be, and the more prominent your link is for guests to click on and find. But setting the same bid for every single user is probably not a great strategy, because some guests are worth more than others, some people are more likely to convert than others. So all of the Metasearch providers, Google, TripAdvisor, everyone, gives you some information on who is going to be appearing, and you can choose who you bid on, how much you want to bid. and therefore you can tailor your strategy. So if you're operating in Metasearch, you or your partner or your agency or your Metasearch vendor, they need to decide on a bidding strategy and constantly optimize and adjust and check that strategy to make sure you're getting the volume of bookings that you want at a cost, at a return on ad spend that's acceptable to you. So here at Triptease, there's loads of different ways that we think about that and that we go on doing that. It's not just about getting your prices in, you've got to optimize, and that takes time and expertise. So there's a whole host of things that we think about, but a really important one is your pricing parity and our kind of meta pricing intelligence. So at Triptease, our product, our Metasearch product, is using pricing parity data to decide when to bid. If you've got a great price compared to everyone else in the auction, we'll be bidding. If your price is not good, we will hold back and we'll wait and we'll save that budget and use that for another time when there's a better chance of converting. Now that kind of information has been constantly fed into all of our customers and the bidding algorithms that we use. But actually we've pulled some of this data out, and we've looked at this for a few other hotels as well. So let me just explain what we're looking at here. If I zoom in, this is some of the data, and we've extracted it out into some spreadsheets here. And you can see tables here where you've got check-in dates down the side, and then across the top are all of the different channels in Metasearch that guests could book on. And we've color-coded them. So if something's green, it means that that channel is more expensive than the direct channel. Direct was beating that channel. If it's red, it means that the direct channel is being undercut by that other participant in Metasearch. So if you're interested in seeing what this looks like for your hotel, send us an email on info@triptease.com, and we can send you a copy of one of these spreadsheets, and you can kind of see what your hotel looks like. There's a few examples here. So that one at the back, that hotel is being undercut all the time. Every OTA has always got a better price than the direct channel.
And one of the fascinating bits about the maths of this is, if you work through it, if you were bidding always, even when you're undercut, and let's say you're undercut about 35% of the time, which we often see hotels, particularly at the moment, we're seeing higher levels of undercuts. By not bidding and moving that money to times when you've got a good price, you actually get over 50% increase in meta volumes overall, because the money that you are wasting on the least efficient searches when you weren't going to get a booking because you haven't got the best price is so much more powerful when you put it in another place. That's kind of why we obsess over this. And am I right, Jonathan? We're looking, because Triptease has been interested in parity on, say, OTA websites and how it compares with the hotel website for years. But actually, when it comes to meta bidding, we're actually having to look not at what's live on the OTA website right now, it's actually what's in meta that counts. And so we're looking at meta disparity as opposed to on OTA website disparity. Yeah, totally. And you can kind of see this because these are the prices that your price is next to in Metasearch. If you have a price and your direct price is, I think we saw an example this morning that was 3 times what an OTA was offering, it's incredibly unlikely that somebody is going to buy that direct price if it is 3 times the price of an OTA. I mean, that is absolutely extreme, but that is not the time to spend money on advertising that click. It is very, very unlikely to convert. You would be better ignoring that, trying to find some other data, resolve that, that rate leakage issue, fix that, but bid on other times when you have got good parity, when you've got a good rate, or, really invest when you've got the best rate and make sure that you're getting as many people as possible, especially. Sorry, that's quite scary when I hear that. So just a note, we will talk a bit later about if right now, and we're hearing a lot of hotels suffer this, you're getting more frequently out of parity because of TripAdvisor Plus than you've seen before. We have a fix for you, so we'll come to that later on. Absolutely, and yeah, why you're absolutely right, Charlie. Why do we talk about this so much? The answer is it really, really, really matters. So if we go and look at some of our data about conversion rates and what your pricing parity was in Metasearch, we see a really quite clear trend. So this chart here on the left-hand side, this is the conversion rate when your direct price is not the best all of the time. There is always someone undercutting you. And if you move across that chart on the far other end, that is when the direct price is always the best in Metasearch. And you can see that conversion rate increases 50% as you get it across that other side. That makes a huge difference. So you pay for those Metasearch clicks, and if you can increase your conversion rate by 50%, your increase in your return is enormous. So it's really, 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 the strategy there
it's pretty clear that you can increase that conversion rate by having that best price. And you've got to keep telling people this as well. So, you know, classic marketing, you need to tell people the same thing multiple times to make sure that message has really landed. A bit like I'm telling you that price really matters, Charlie. It really matters. So what we've seen is if you know, guests when they enter your site from Metasearch already have an idea if you have the best price or not, because they've seen them all in Metasearch. And if you tell them again that you've got the best price, reinforce that with a price check message, we see the conversion rate lift again. And if you tell them that multiple times during that booking journey, keep telling them that you've got the best price and the benefits of booking direct, we see that conversion rate lift 118%. And that is enormous. That's a massive increase in your efficiency for both looking off-site, reinforcing the price, and doing it again when you get back on site. And that's where we see huge amounts of success.
And if you need any convincing, just go to booking.com and book your hotel, and you'll see that going through only 4 or 5 pages, they repeat the best price message 4 or 5 times. Like they just keep on hammering it because you've got to, because that's what, you know, you need to reassure people about. Okay.
So there's a few other, I guess, like tips and tricks that we've got for Meta. And one of them particularly around pricing parity is member rates. So you can use member rates on Metasearch. And on the left-hand side here, you can see how Google represents a member rate when you've told Google that you've got a member rate. So here it has shown an example here. It has crossed out the original price, which was £72, and instead it says get price, or if you prefer, it can actually just say what your member price is here. And it says unlock lower rates with free enrollment. When you click through to the booking experience, you can see here that the new price is there, that member price is there, it's £63. You can then fire off a price check message here and reiterate that you've got a great price compared to the other channels. You can sign people up to that rate. You can, you know, do that via your booking system, via the booking, via an email capture message, loads of different ways that you can do that. But this means that you've been able to lead with a better price, and that increases the click-through rate, positions you nicely. This is a pretty good system. You know, if you've got rate parity and you want to beat the other OTA channels in Meta, this is a way that you can do that. Or if you have got a parity issue, this is a way that you can get a lower rate into Meta relatively easily.
Yeah, and I think for me, this is probably one of the key tips. If you see the hotels that we see who drive the most direct business are generally the ones that always have perfect parity, or they undercut by just a very small amount, right? This is not about 10% discounts. It can be 2%, 3%. You know, Marriott and Hilton, their member rates are giving 2-3% off. It's really not a big deal. And we know that different hotels feel different levels of confidence and comfort with how they represent different rates to OTAs, because obviously you have parity agreements. And there are a number, as Jonathan says, of different ways you can do this. The strikeout in Google is a useful mechanism of saying a cheaper rate exists if you come direct, without actually saying, here we have a cheaper rate than the OTA. But you can hide the rate behind a click, join the thing to see it, or you can display it straight on the booking engine. And it does, I'm afraid to say, there isn't a perfect way to do this because every booking engine is different, but there are some best practices, and we can always share them. If you've got any questions about how to do that, please reach out.
My word, let's run through a bit. And then, yeah, bidding as well. So I want to talk a little bit about bidding. So, I mean, here we're using multiple things. We spoke multiple data sources. We spoke about the pricing parity data, but we're also using the on-site analytics data while we're bidding. So what's happening on the direct channel, plus the previous performance, both on-site and in Metasearch. And we use that to drive algorithms and automation that create bespoke bidding strategies for each individual hotel. And those strategies update the bids, and they do that every hour. Now, with Metasearch, it's quite easy to think about what a logical strategy might be for a given hotel. You know, bid up on domestic, bid up on neighboring countries, but really that's not enough. And the reason that that initial strategy will fall down is because there are other people in Metasearch. You've got to think about what all the other auction participants are doing. So you might set a great strategy, but then other people will adapt to the strategy that you've made, and you need to just adjust accordingly. And you've got to keep doing that. Prices change, parity changes, your rates change, the rates on OTAs change, people's bids change. It's a bit like playing a sort of 7-dimensional chess game against 10 other players. You've got to keep checking, keep adjusting, move your levers and see what's happened. And you need to be doing that as frequently as possible. And it's why, you know, we believe that this job is much better done by machines than it is by humans, because they can just keep on top of this, making those changes and making those adaptations multiple times a day. And by doing that, you can create great strategies that fit each individual hotel. You can't have a kind of one size fits all strategy that's working for everybody. You've got to adjust this. And by doing that, we've seen that your approach and your success on Metasearch can be really, really high. And we've got some examples here from loads of different types of properties, whether that's like an independent city hotel or a multinational group, or just a group of really small hotels. In all of those cases, by matching that strategy and getting it aligned to what you want, and the results that you want to get, and the sites of the hotel and the prices, with a good strategy, a good partner, and good rates, you can do incredibly well in Metasearch. Which kind of brings me back to the pasta and our meal again. So you have got options here, and I guess you can do better than the macaroni cheese instant dinner. Google have got an algorithm, but it's an algorithm that's designed to make Google's profits, not to make the direct channel succeed. If you go with a professional chef, someone like Triptease, we can help you and we can get better results than Google can get for you. Which brings us on to our exercise. And after this, we're going to come back and we're going to talk a bit more about property promotional ads. We're going to talk a bit more about TripAdvisor Plus. But first of all, we're going to go and we're going to look at everyone's different presences on Meta. So in a second, I think into the chat, we'll have a link with some instructions in. But what we're going to do is we're going to go into breakout rooms in some small groups. And then we're going to search for each of either your own hotel or other people's hotel in the group. Try doing it on your mobile device. That will give you some different insights to if you do it on desktop. And when you search, we're going to go through a few different prompts, and I'll walk through those in a sec. And we can look at how that hotel appears in Metasearch. And then we'll come back in here and talk about anything unexpected that you've seen, anything interesting, some things that you've learned or shared. But when you search, here are a few things to look for. So when you search for a hotel, and maybe pick someone else in your room and search for their hotel, what happens? Can you see their hotel, the direct channel on Metasearch? Is it not visible? Is it somewhere in the list? Is it at the very top of the list? So that's the first thing to look at. Secondly, click on the View More Rates button. And if you do that, you'll probably be able to see both the free and paid listings. Does it appear just in the free? Is it just in the paid? Is it both? Have a look and see what's happening. And then have a look at the parity. So perhaps change to a few different dates. Is the price in the direct channel, is it significantly undercutting by OTA prices? Is it mostly in parity, or are you cheaper direct all the time? So have a look and see what it is. And then finally, click through onto the booking engine. Maybe click on the free link. Click through to the booking engine. How quickly does it load? Is it fast? Is it slow? Can you see the price? Thinking about that price accuracy that Google care about so much in the free rankings. Is it the same price that you saw earlier? And can you make that booking? Can you get through there? Can you pick the dates? My favorite one is, can you pick the check-in date and the checkout date? Do the date pickers work? That's the #1 problem that I see on mobile devices on booking engines. Fantastic. Right, I think we're going to move into those breakout rooms. And we'll come here in about 15 minutes.
Yeah, and when we come back, we will go through property promotion ads and a bit on TripAdvisor Plus. See you all in a bit.
TripAdvisor Plus.
Yeah.
Hi, Nydia. Hi, Geordie.
Hello, welcome back. Okay, good. Well, I learned something, as I always do in these breakouts, which is great. I see some nodding heads. Good. I hope you had a moment to share and hear other people's experiences. We looked at a few, saw particularly interesting because I happened to be in the US and I was searching a couple of UK hotels. One of the experiences that I saw was in the US. No one ever. I feel like they're permanently trying to cheat me. Every shop you go into, they quote you a price that's nothing to do with it. Feels like the price you end up paying, right? Everything seems to get marked up again and again. And so it was the same with, as I sit here, the OTAs are showing me tax-free prices. So one hotel showed the price with taxes, which obviously on the Meta site means that you have to call it out. And then the other option was to show without taxes, but when the guest transfers through, to the European website, there can be a bit of like oh wait, the price just changed on me, and you need to call out the taxes. So that was interesting to see a few different things there, but both loaded fast, which was good, showing up in the free links, which was great. Great to see. Any learnings, thoughts, disputes, questions that came up anywhere else?
Our group, Charlie, was just lamenting Snap Travel, who are everywhere. I think they've come up in every one of these that we've run so far.
Really?
So was our group as well.
Where are they coming from? Like, who is behind? Is it hotel beds or what is it? Like in the very end.
Snap Travel specifically, I suspect they get rates from a number of different places and keep on chopping and changing them around. I don't know if anyone's chased down Snap
It's a rate
Travel
scraper.
carriers.
It's a rate scraper. They get multiple channels. They have access to an affiliate network. They get your FIT rates, which should be non-public, but they're getting them public. As a hotelier, I give you an advice: follow it up, chase it up, do a couple of transactions, deal with your partners. If they just don't come around, just cancel their contract, and that's it. Deal with them like we used to deal in the old days with EMEA.
Yeah,
that's my 5 cents.
You've got to play tough, right? Otherwise, they will just keep on coming. Actually, and that was one of the things that yesterday we ran the same workshop in the US, and here in America, TripAdvisor Plus is being pushed very hard. If I just, well, maybe I'll share the screen at this stage. We hit present, and that one. Is that sharing the right thing? I hope so. Never quite sure. Yes, Gemma, I'm looking at you. Is that showing the right thing?
I can see we're Apple Music.
Oh, that's not showing the right thing. Jonathan, can you share again?
Sure.
It's always the most embarrassing thing when I share a screen. I didn't mean to. Just briefly though, while on the subject of TripAdvisor Plus and wholesale rates, so it feels like that is the biggest new wholesale rate challenge going on, at least in America right now. It may be slightly different in the UK. In Europe, forgive me. So TripAdvisor basically, they are the masters of trying to completely change their business every 3 or 4 years, which impresses the hell out of me that they're able to try and pivot. And the latest effort is to create a closed user group member rate. So you pay $99 and you, as a result, get to see TripAdvisor Plus rates. And they think this is going to really be a major driver of their revenues in the future. Now, one of the challenges is that TripAdvisor obviously need to get hotels to offer better rates to their Plus customers. In the US, at least, they are saying, please give us a rate that is at least 10% lower than the best available rate on your website or via any OTAs, and we'll make it available to this closed user group. And in addition, some other benefits. Omar, who you just heard from Corinthia, who's on this call, he's actually said that for him, TripAdvisor didn't ask for a discounted rate. They're just getting the straight normal rate via the GDS. So maybe it's slightly different rules in different parts of the world. But basically, TripAdvisor are trying really hard to get hotels to opt into this program. So what we're seeing in the US is TripAdvisor are working with a bunch of wholesalers to bring undercutting rates onto the TripAdvisor Plus program. They're taking the view that, well, if the hotel won't sign up for Plus, we'll put the wholesaler rates on it, we'll undercut the hotel, we'll advertise on Google with this new undercut rate. And now, and this is kind of the key bit, because the wholesale rate is kind of rebranded in a sense, TripAdvisor Plus. Sorry, Jonathan, you're clicking around the screen now. Because it's rebranded TripAdvisor Plus, I'm going to make you stop because I can't talk while it's jumping around. Thank you. Because these wholesaler rates are now got this kind of TripAdvisor brand around them, a very cohesive feel, it actually gives, I think, a lot more confidence to a consumer to book what previously was like a wholesale rate with a Snap Travel name or a MoMA that maybe people didn't trust. So it's actually, I think, a bit of a considerable risk right now. But there is one virtue, which is perhaps it's because of COVID, perhaps it's because it's TripAdvisor trying a new thing. What I've tended to see so far is in the old days, when you were trying to track down wholesale rates, it was very expensive to book them, spend the money, and then try and cancel them, because often they wouldn't cancel. So you've lost that cash. What's available right now in TripAdvisor Plus is most of the rates have a cancelable version. So if you are seeing TripAdvisor undercut you, for example, on Google, because they're pulling these wholesaler rates, they're calling them out as TripAdvisor Plus, you can book and cancel the rates, see who they came from, and as Omar said, like have tough words with the wholesaler, because right now there's never been a time when, in a sense, wholesalers were adding less value to bookings, because people are booking early. There's much more cancellation, so might be a good time to be tough on them if you're seeing that. So in terms of whether it worked, from the hotels we've heard, it's too early to say. We haven't seen many people getting many bookings from being part of this program, but perhaps some are getting more volume, and we will see and watch how it evolves. Okay, sorry, that was me jumping onto that one. And sorry, and I had one other thought that came from the experiments from yesterday, that I saw from one hotel that I hadn't seen before, was obviously it's important if you have contracts around parity, that you want to keep parity with OTAs, and a lot of hotels want to keep that price parity, and they know that if they undercut the OTA will be on at them. And one of the things I saw yesterday was in the call out in Meta. So I don't know, John, if you can go back to the one more there. Okay, so in this call out, when you landed on Meta, this hotel, which gave OTAs a 2-day cancellation window for all their rooms, called out that their cancellation date was like 1 day, was shorter, which was really neat. So, for example, a search for the 29th of April, the OTAs all said cancel by the 27th, free cancellation until the 27th, and the hotel called out free cancellation until the 28th. So their price was in parity, but their cancellation terms were just 1 day better. And you don't have to be a lot better as a channel, right, in terms of price or offers, to just switch people to your channel. So I really like that, because it was a non-price parity breaking way that hotel was encouraging people to book direct. So I guess perhaps, the point here of the slide is, there are many different ways to do Meta, and it kind of depends a lot on strategy. Some hotels we know it's all about, we really want to just drive impression share. We want to make sure we're always visible. And for other hotels, it's actually, we want to just make sure that we're getting as many bookings as we can for a price that is cheaper than the OTAs. Those tend to be kind of the two approaches people take. And I guess it depends on you how that then impacts where you'd be listed. Jonathan, back to you.
Cool, thanks. I suppose we've got one thing that's worth talking about is property promotional ads. So you've probably seen these over the last year. Google have been experimenting with these, lots of different ways of showing them, but these went into general availability about 2 or 3 weeks ago now. So a property promotional ad is a bit like Metasearch, but going higher up the booking funnel. So instead of appearing in Google when you are searching for a specific hotel, these happen when you're searching for a region. Maybe that's a city, maybe it's an area within a city. And what Google will do is, in the big list of hotels in Google Travel, it will pull 2 of them to the top of that list. And then there'll be an auction to decide which price it shows and which channel that price belongs to. So in this example here, those two hotels at the top of that list have got the word ad next to them. You can see a price there, and that's the Booking.com price. Booking.com have won that auction, and their price is appearing. But you can bid in this, and you can participate in this as the direct channel as well. So it's a bit interesting. It is slightly higher up the funnel. It's a way, perhaps if you have got spare budget in Metasearch that you want to spend, this is a way that you could spend it. Sometimes you may well find in Metasearch, particularly at the moment when search volume is down, you can't actually spend more and pull more results out of Metasearch. Property promotional ads are a way of perhaps just looking at a few different areas, going a bit further up the funnel and seeing what you can pull out when people are still planning, rather than they're in that kind of like right at the bottom of the funnel booking moment. There's quite a lot of complexity in them. There's a mixture of Google's organic behavior to select the hotels, and then the auction dynamics, which is a bit like Metasearch, perhaps with a slightly different bidding strategy needed. You need to win that auction, not come second or third to appear. So there's definitely a different kind of dynamic going on there. But talk to your Meta partner around these and what they might be able to do for you in that space.
Yeah, and this is particularly when we hear hotels say, well, I've got some budget, I want to spend more on Meta, but I've already got 95% share of voice when people do Metasearch. This is a way to move up that funnel. Thank you. And lastly, I think then in conclusion, I'll let you click through, Jonathan.
Cool, perfect. Sorry, my mouse has gone absolutely mad.
Okay.
Trying to
Sorry,
click.
as long as-
Here we go.
Okay.
I clicked.
So yeah, I think, you know, as you think about, right, we are still in a very volatile, changing market, right? And so over the next year, what are the best ways to make the most out of Meta? One, definitely, if you're concerned about budget, even CPA, because it's good enough to get you out there. As Jonathan said, right, you get some calories from that ready-made macaroni. And forgive me if there are any Italians on the call. If you want to go homemade, great, but it is going to be tough in the next 6 months. Demand is going to be fluctuating, cancellations are going to be changing, and I know for a lot of hoteliers you simply don't have the time to be changing all those levers for every country as they open up, as the bookings are coming through or getting cancelled and everything else. And so that's why the third option, which is one we offer, which is Triptease can manage automated manner with machines like pulling all those levers every minute of the day, much higher return from Meta. And what we generally see is 30 to 50% higher volume than the Google automation, partly because it's built for Google's success, not for hotels. So any further questions, please do not hesitate to drop us a line, info@triptease.com. And we will, as I said before, be sending you all the slides, and I think there'll also probably be a link to recording if you so want. But thank you very much for joining us. Thank you for sharing with each other. And yeah, please let us know if you have any other Meta challenges. We would love to help.
Charlie, there's a couple of questions in the chat. So if anyone is happy to stay on for a few minutes, then I can see there was a question from Andre around free cancellation messages. So I'll just let you have a chance to.
Okay, yes. Is a free cancellation message the most important, in your opinion, next to the rate? So when you appear, for example, on Google, you can have sort of a sentence or two calling out some specific benefits. I have no doubt that the perfect answer to this is it'll be slightly different for different hotels, but I'm pretty sure for 80% of hotels right now in 2021, cancellation is the main thing. And so, yeah, I would probably be calling out cancellation as the key thing. Jonathan, I don't know if you have anything to add.
Yeah, so I mean, Google themselves are really focused on this. So the behavior of that call out, which is that line of text that appears next to your link in paid Metasearch, if you get the #1 spot in Meta, there is a chance that Google will use one of your custom call outs. But pretty much regardless of where you are, Google will show that cancellation policy. So it is something that they care about a lot. And they added in the middle of last year, you may well have seen this as a little toggle at the top, which says only show bookings with free cancellations, or only show channels with free cancellations. And that's a filter people can use in Metasearch or in Google Travel. I guess the key takeaway here is it's really, really important that your Meta provider and your booking engine are feeding through the most accurate cancellations policy, what actually applies to this booking into Metasearch. Because if you don't have that information in there, Google can't show that call out and other channels will have it. So it's a great one to make sure. You definitely want to be making use of it. Make sure that your cancellation policies are up to date in your booking engine and that's getting all the way through to your Metasearch provider. The vast majority of booking engines and providers are doing this, but if you see yours isn't, drop them a line and they will, I'm sure, want to get that resolved.
So get your cancellation policy, make sure it's up there. If it isn't, speak to your provider. I did see one nice thing in my breakout. Omar had, I searched for May the 20th and it actually said in his call out, cancelable until May the 20th. You can cancel all the way up until the day. And again, like really reassuring in these times. Next, any other questions?
Yeah, Charlie and John, just before we went into breakouts, there are a few questions in chat just about the kind of the implementation of that call out on the strike through on Meta if you wanted to advertise a cheaper rate. So who's actually responsible for feeding that through and how would a hotel kind of go about that?
Cool. So there's quite a few different ways of that working. And this does depend a little bit on your booking engine, how and if your booking engine supports those. So typically what we see hotels doing is they use a rate code, so that maybe there is a rate code for the member prices and there is a separate rate code perhaps for the bar rate and for other rates. Your Meta provider, and I guess I can speak for how we do this, you would let us know what that rate code is for your member rate, and then we would use that as the member price, and then we would use the next cheapest rate and we would see that crossed out. It's possible to do similar things with promo codes. So even if your booking engine doesn't necessarily support member rates, if you support promo code, you can do a similar thing. So the exact implementation does depend, but if you've got those if you have a member rate program, if you have a way of showing prices that are cheaper, be that promo codes or rate codes, then you can probably get something working in that way.
Yeah, please do let us know if you struggle or you want some individual attention on that question. Just drop us a line. As I say, info@triptease will work.
Can I comment something? Thanks. I said already to Bettina example where you mentioned previously that the mobile experience are growing and the share is growing, but I compared my hotel's desktop versus mobile, and it's different presentation. It's also the mobile rates are not presented correctly. Is there some technical issues, or you would like to double check? Because I checked several hotels and all the cases are the same. And also I recognize that where you're presenting on the desktop version, like cross rates, but you're not doing this on desktop, on the mobile.
So it sounds like you have a specific challenge for your hotel. Is that perhaps I should speak to you after this, if that works. If there's something specific we need to fix for your hotels, as opposed to a broader question for everyone. Is that all right, Andre?
Absolutely. And the last thing Jonathan mentioned, also promotion codes. Are you planning to work like with data, and where we'll be able maybe to attract customers with promo code if they're not converting, like they're visiting, they're interested, but they're not converting because they're shopping, comparing, but then maybe to give them, implement the promotion code which will attract them to book.
So you mean
in the funnel,
people who don't have a promo, so just tracking a regular visitor, they're showing a high propensity to book, but they're not booking, and then showing them a promo code or an offer?
Yes, maybe just creating promotion, like there are just already some companies outside who are doing this. Maybe you were making already some thoughts for this year to go similar steps, and like, for example, I don't know, guys from China visiting 200 times a month, but just looking and watching around, but not booking for some of the reasons. But we see a lot of movements from some specific
that sounds spot on for what TripTease have done for a few years. So definitely ways we can do that for you. I think if you've got someone visiting 200 times from China and they're not booking, you may just want to check they're not a bot. But yeah, I think we can definitely help with that. So let's also take that one offline, because that is something we absolutely do. Is, part of our core product is tracking guest behavior and giving people different messages, and including promotion codes or clicks for that, based on Booking Engine. It does often, these things do depend a little bit on Booking Engine.
Lovely.
Great.
And the discrepancies examples I sent to Bettina, but I would really like to get feedback aside, because the rate, I have different
let me pick
price strategy on the mobile, but it's not presented.
Okay, I will definitely pick that up and come back to you straight away on that today.
Thank you.
Thank you. That's all right. Very much. Were there any other questions in the chat? Sorry, Gemma. Okay, great. In which case then, unless there are any other general Meta questions, we will call it. And thank you very much all for attending. As I say, please do drop us a line if you'd like to speak or talk in more detail. Thanks. Bye.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Thank you.